cannot believe that someone has done this inside of Blender. Oh wow, so we actually get a product render as well. It's crazy to see to me that people make this kind of stuff inside of Blender.
Oh, you went right for a full body piece, I see.
I honestly don't know how you guys come up with these names. I must say I've been super amazed and stunned by the amount of amazing work you guys submitted. This video is sponsored by Squarespace. More on that later. Whoops, I forgot to remove my lens cap there. Hey everybody, in this video we're going to take a look at Blender artworks submitted by you. And we're going to go over what could be improved, changed, and finally we'll give them a rating. So I really wanted to show you this piece first. It's called Robo in Glass by Abobla. Forgive me if I butchered your name, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, so I really wanted to show you this piece because it looks very good. It has great lighting and texturing. However, there is a obvious flaw within this image and I'm curious to see if you guys can see it. So pause the video right here and leave a comment down below with what you think is off inside of this image. All right, so you left your answer. Awesome. The right answer in this case would have been skill, and not because there's a tiny robot inside of a glass. That is just called artistic freedom. However, what is off in this scene is the other objects around it. So let me just draw over it so you can quickly see what I mean. Over here we have a plate. And if I draw a line across it, we get roughly its diameter within this scene. And if I then move this line over here and I sort of try to match it up with the diameter of our glass, you'll notice that the glass is way bigger. Obviously there's some perspective going on, but it does not make sense for this glass to be this much bigger than the plate. So this would either mean our glass is completely huge or our plate is minuscule, I guess. If we then again take a look at the cutlery over here, you'll notice that the cutlery sort of matches the scale of our plate and makes sense in that regard. However, it's super tiny compared to our robot here. So getting scale right inside of your Blender projects is very, very important for achieving realism, good lighting, and above all, getting your camera shots to look right. A perfect example of CG done right in this regard is Toy Story. This movie is obviously about toy-sized characters, so the entire world around it must scale accordingly and look big compared to these toy-sized characters. Now overall, I really like this image. It has a great separation between foreground, the focal point, which is obviously the robot, and the background, which is the rest of the image basically. Overall though, I think this is a decent piece and I'm gonna give it 2.5 cubes. Oh, yeah, so I'm rating these artworks using cubes because, you know, that's how everything in Blender is measured, right? Next up, we have this amazing piece from Science Labrador. I honestly don't know how you guys come up with these names. Well, anyways, I must say I've been super amazed and stunned by the amount of amazing work you guys submitted, and this was definitely one of those pieces. Now, the creators said they are very proud of the skill in this image, which I couldn't agree more with. It's done very well, and overall, it really feels like an actual photo. The one thing I always do when looking at my final product for such an image inside of Blender is I look for reference, which you probably already have because you created this scene. And you know, it's always advised to have reference image before you start on a project anyways. So I just looked up for something similar, and in this case I found this image over here, which I think sort of resembles it. At least it gives you an indication of what you could change to improve this image. Now I don't think there's a whole lot you would change on the Blender side of things. The one main thing though I would change is the water. So if you look at this image over here, you'll notice that there are some more flatter spots and some more noisy spots, and this is because of wind, and wind does not flow in a constant pattern over water. It has its ups, it has its downs. There's parts where it's strong, there's parts where there's no wind at all. So this affects how the water looks. Now if we now look at this render here, you'll notice that the water has quite a bit of detail everywhere. I would love to see some more still parts in the water just to add some realism here. So over here we have a fairly blue sky, so there's hardly any clouds except for some in the distance, which is quite similar to the render we have in Photoshop there. So we could make this a little bit more blue. Now this is just basically compositing. I don't know if there's any compositing done, and again, this is also stylistic choice, but in my case I would change this. So yeah, here's a before and after for this effect. Since this is a relatively cloudless sky, there would be a lot more blue influence from the sky and atmosphere around it. So just upping these blue tones, in my opinion, adds to the realism of this image. I really like this piece. It's very well done. I think it's great. So 4 out of 5 cubes. The year was 2009.
Fushigi, like I don't know what it is, but it's the coolest thing ever, and I can do it.
And the moment had come for me to create my first portfolio website. I was ready, yet I quickly learned how unprepared I was. No coding knowledge, no templates, and Internet Explorer was still the biggest browser out there. After struggling for what seemed like ages, an abomination was born.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Luckily, in this day and age, creating websites is easier than ever using Squarespace. Their new Fluid engine enables groundbreaking drag-and-drop creation with automatic image scaling to make things even easier. Pre-built layouts for your contact and about pages will save you hours of time, and their Android and iOS app will even let you manage your website on the go. Visit Squarespace for a free trial, and when you're ready, head on over to squarespace.com/kaizentutorials to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Oh wow, so we actually get a product render as well, and that's pretty amazing. You don't get these very often inside of the Blender community, and this one is done very well at that. It looks very stylish and has a clear and concise color scheme, which really helps when selling your images. Now, the creator said they didn't really like the textures inside of the render, but I have to disagree with that. I think the glass, or maybe it's plastic, I don't know, but the part over here where you actually see through the material looks very good. It has nice subsurface scattering. Obviously over here there's some sort of cosmetics in there, so you can't see through it. Then again, our plastic up here looks perfect as well, very pristine and clean. And the actual branding on here looks really good as well. This text actually has some depth. Now, my main issue with this image would be its scale for the flowers. So I think these foreground leaves are fine, but the flower elements on this side sort of detract from the realism for me, even though this couldn't be real anyways. But you know, when I see these types of ads, I feel like the ingredients should be in a relative scale towards the bottle. So I have an example over here, which if you look at it, to me, it feels more natural to see these elements at a larger scale, which is more fitting for the size of this bottle. Well done on this product render, and I'm going to give it 3.5 cubes. For this specific submission, I called in help from my friend Nogi, who makes great sculpting, character and challenge related content in Blender.
So yeah, Kaizen asked me if I could give feedback to one of the pieces because he apparently thinks I have some sort of anatomy knowledge. Piece is by Anonemus, and they say it's one of my first sculpts I've ever done before, and I think it turned out good for a beginner. Ooh, you went right for a full body piece, I see. Usually the advice that I give is to start with the head and add more and more of the body to your sculpt as you get comfortable with the thing that you kind of tried practicing before, like the head, for example. I think for your first sculpt that looks pretty good, especially because it's a full body and it's also posed. The biggest thing that seems to be a problem for beginners is the smoothness combined with the harshness of the muscles. So there's a fine line between making muscles defined and making them smooth in other areas. A good example for that would be like the pectoralis muscle here, the chest muscle, has this very sharp edge here, for example. Same for the muscles right here, and overall here, and maybe even the biceps. It is easier, of course, just to draw in the muscles first. But the problem is muscles are basically just sort of round shapes that go under and above each other, which means that they create these creases, and that's where the definition comes from. But the muscles themselves are quite smooth. So usually only with the muscles attached to the bones, or for example, where they sort of overlap over each other, that's where you would have these sharp creases. But in the other parts, it would be quite round. But as I said, the overall anatomy looks nice. I wouldn't expect this from a beginner, to be honest, so good job on that. Thank you for inviting me, Kaizen.
Thanks a lot for your expertise on this subject, Nogi. Please go check out his channel, he has some great videos. Overall, not bad. There's a couple of things that could be improved though, so a 2.5 cube rating. So over here we have an environment piece done by Reinspieler called Sweden Landscape. Again, as usual when I judge these types of images, I'm going to look at some reference. So over here I have sort of a similar image that I found when just Googling Swedish landscape, and it has sort of the same elements in there. So there's hills, there's trees, there's grass, and there's a blue sky. When looking at this image, it's clear that you could say that the fog does not need to be there for this image to look good. So you can just remove the fog altogether. Now the grass and the assets in the scene, they look great and they do have some diversity. However, the trees up here, they have zero diversity. They're all very similar. Again, if we look at the reference reference here, you'll notice that there are some solo trees in here as well, some very high trees, some lower trees, just a combination of trees, which makes it look more natural. I do feel the composition of this image is also a little bit weird because this sort of feels like a steep mountain instead of like a hill, and it feels kind of weird that the trees over here are suddenly just stopping, or there's not, you know, just a few peeking up here across the hill or something. So it makes it look kind of CG because the trees feel unnatural in that sense. Now the colors in this image are indeed quite flat, and that is probably mostly due to the monotone layer of fog that is added over it. However, I also miss some vibrancy, and this is one of the biggest tips I'm going to give you. If you look at a lot of professional photography of you know, nature or whatever, there's quite a bit of color inside of it, which is usually bumped up even more inside of their editing software. Again, I don't have any of the blend files in here, but I can just add in this filter over here inside of Photoshop to do it. And again, if we preview those two side by side, just changing this minor detail, which you could do in compositing, by the way, in Blender, it works just fine, but you could also do it in any of the free photo editing softwares that are out there. Just changing these few settings will add a lot of life to your scene. And at the same time, you can also tell that by just doing this, the fog has now become less intense in our scene. Not bad. There's a couple of things that could be improved though, so I'm gonna give it 2.5 cubes. Next, we have a crazy cool animation called Lego Sandbox done by Myriad. All right, this is crazy. You know, I cannot believe that someone has done this inside of Blender. It's insane to me. Everything looks so photoreal and well done. This is a fun little scene with great story from start to finish. It's short, but you know exactly what's going on. There's this Lego character that's popping out of the sand, and you hear footsteps coming, and eventually it's being stepped on by this child's shoe, which again looks amazing. I mean, look at those fuzzy details over there. That's just very well done. The sand looks very good in this scene, and the artist told me that they've done it inside of Houdini, which makes sense because Blender does not have its own granular solver so far. I mean, there's a couple of add-ons that do it, but Houdini does it a lot better. And I think it looks great. Overall, I'd say that when the sand sort of pops out, let's just watch that again. This first bit looks perfect, but when he sort of sits up, the sand, in my opinion, feels a little bit thick and sticky. But overall, I think that's just a minor detail because it does look like actual sand. Now, there's not a lot of feedback I can give on this project because it's so very well done. However, I did want to put it in because it's a great example of how to achieve realism in your shots using skill. So like I said before, using the right skill inside of your scenes is very important. Over here, we have these background elements, which are very, very big there. And that's why we have this amazing depth of field. Now, they used an HDRI for lighting, which should be fine for outdoor lighting, but they added in these gobos. So let me just explain a little bit about what a gobo is. If we go inside of Blender, we can add in a light in our scene, and by default, this will just be a basic light shining constantly at our object. However, if we add in a gobo, which is basically a sort of a shadow element for our light, we can achieve way more interesting lighting. Now, there's a add-on called gobos, which you could use for this, but very easy way to do it actually is just to use a shader on a plane, which you sort of position in front of your object here, and you then add a shader with a noise texture and a color ramp and plug that into the alpha for the shader. This will basically remove all the black parts of the noise texture from the plane here, which will create a more interesting shape for our plane with lots of details, and you could even animate this feature to get some very interesting gobo effects inside of Blender, just using a couple of quick tricks. Now, this really adds to the realism as well, and besides that, the one thing that they've done very, very well inside of this scene is sound design. Sound design is crucial for realism, as well as getting you immersed inside of an animation or a video or movie. Even real movies use so much sound design to immerse yourself inside of a story. Again, absolutely mind blown by this piece. A great animation, 4.5 cubes. Finally, we have a 2-year-long passion project by Alexandros Darky, and it's called PT Remastered, and it's based on the game Silent Hills PT. Basically, this is a remastered version inside of Blender, and it's really great. So check it out, it's great, and it's got a compelling story, and you can find the link in the description. Now, with the previous submission, I spoke a little bit about sound design, and horror might be the one genre in which sound design is most important. Without proper sound design, horror does not work. Sound plays a major part in our brains telling us that something is scary. I like the lighting inside of these scenes, however, I do think the lens flares might be a tad too strong. And when you're looking at a light, there's probably some haloing or bloom you can see, and maybe sometimes even a lens flare. However, a lens flare is something that occurs when using a camera and not necessarily when looking at something through your own eyes. Now, the one other thing that stands off a little bit to me is the animation of the scary lady, I guess I'm gonna call her, which feels a little bit stiff, and I have not played the original game, so I'm not sure if this is intended or, you know, if it's like a copy of the original or that this is just a lack in animation skills. However, at times it feels a bit unnatural and stiff to me. Again, like I said though, this is a very inspiring project for anybody who wants to know what the capabilities are of Blender. A very impressive project, and I really like it, so I'm gonna give it 4.5 cubes. I'm sorry if I did not include your artwork. There were so many good ones, I had to select just a couple of them. However, if you guys do enjoy this format, then please let me know so I can make more of these videos in the future. Now, I've put all of the artworks used in this video inside of one big document, including some extra feedback and pointers and some paint overs as well. You can get this document by joining the Patreon, and you'll support the channel at the same time, so make sure to check that out. I can't thank you enough for all of these amazing submissions. It really blew me away what kind of cool stuff you guys are creating out there. You can find links to everybody's socials inside of the video description, so please go show some love to all these amazing artists. And while you're still here, make sure to check out this video right here so you can get into creating assets for your games or animations. Thanks a ton to the following patrons for supporting the channel.